Explora Journeys is one of the newest luxury cruise lines vying to take that top spot in luxury cruising. Our only regret we've ever had with Explora Journeys is we just don't feel we've had enough time to really sail longer and really enjoy these beautiful ships. That is, until now. Hi, I'm Jan.
And I'm Tracy, and we recently completed a 16-night transatlantic cruise aboard the Explora One by Explora Journeys.
Now, we believe that cruising is a personal experience, and we totally understand that two people that have just came off the same ship on the same cruise can have completely different perspectives. So these are just our two observations of this 16-night transatlantic cruise aboard the Explora One.
So we're going to be looking at specific categories, and then we're going to list those top 3 things we loved about Explora and those 3 things we wish they could have done a little bit better.
And the categories we're going to be looking at are the embarkation, the ship, the cabin, the service, the food, and then the entertainment.
So last fall was crazy. We had completed 4 side-by-side cruises from Miami to the Caribbean, and then we got on a plane, we flew to Greece, we did a 7-day Adriatic cruise, and then we spent a week with family in Rome during Jubilee week, and then we made our way to Barcelona, and we got to stay in the Latin Quarter and get ready to go on this next cruise. And we were so looking forward to having some quality time and relaxing with the longer sea days available to us.
Yeah, now the embarkation was relatively effortless. We were onto the ship in just about 30 minutes. Everything from a document check-in going on and getting everything ready. We actually walked right onto the ship and went in and went to our muster station. We took in our handbags and just dropped those into the room, and then it was up to the Emporium Marketplace, which is their buffet for lunch.
Now, normally on embarkation day, we don't like eating in the buffets just because they tend to be too crowded and not really good. But we have been on Explora Journeys before, and we could not wait to return to the buffet. It is so good, but we're going to go into more detail about that later in this review.
Now, this cruise is actually the second time we've been on Explora One, and it was absolutely as stunning as we remembered. It has a curated lounge spaces and has opulent decor. Every detail of this ship was well thought out, from the wood paneling all the way to the color palette. Parts of the ship actually felt more like a boutique hotel. By the way, that's not an accident. That it was actually the design that they had for these ships, and you see that especially in the lobby bar, and which is at the center of the ship, as well as we love the Crema Cafe.
And let's talk about the pools. My goodness, Explora has more pools on their ship than most mass market lines, 2 to 3 sizes bigger than them. There are 3 outdoor pools. There's more than 6 hot tubs outside. There's an enormous indoor pool in the conservatory. And inside of the conservatory, there are 2 massive hot tubs that are on the sides of the ship that you can look out to the sea. And I have to say, without a doubt, the conservatory with its retractable roof is our favorite spot on the ship.
Now, there's a lot of places to spoil yourselves, and the spa certainly is one of them. The spa is up on deck 5, has a thalassotherapy pool, has those heated loungers, which are great, the salt room, the steam room, and a sauna. And what is even more is this is all complimentary to all guests, which is very, very great. So this was a great place after we got our workout done and on the gym and deck number 10 to come out and just relax.
Now let's talk about our room. So our room was an entry-level cabin on the backside, the aft of deck 7. And entry-level rooms themselves are over 377 square feet, and that includes your balcony. And there is a really nice sitting area inside of the cabin. They make great use of the mirrors inside of the room. The decor is really understated, but is so lovely. And we think that the balcony itself is probably one of the largest we've had. It has a really good room for a nice-sized table and chairs and a really nice, comfortable chase lounge for relaxing.
Speaking of comfortable, the room also has a really comfortable king-size bed and a really nice-sized bathroom. It only has 1 sink, though, instead of 2, but it was great because it makes up in a lot of other places to include a huge shower and has lots of counter space and heated floors. There's also its own separate closet space dressing area, which is really nice for getting ready. And I'll tell you, Tracy loved the Dyson hairdryer that was available in all the suites on the ship. Now, we do have several room tours to include the Grand Terrace on the Explora One, the Ocean Terrace on Explora One, and Ocean Terrace on Explora Two that you can see in the link in the description.
So let's talk about the service. And I'll tell you, the service we received on board on this sailing was outstanding. We had previously sailed on Explora One, and honestly, we felt back then the service was a little bit hit or miss, especially in the Steakhouse Marbling Company. I don't know what it was just off. Not this time. Whether it was our room steward, it was the girls making the milkshakes for Jan, which he loves, the bartenders, the afternoon tea service, the service overall we thought was really refined.
Now, of course, that brings us to the food. On longer cruises on Explora, you get to try out the restaurants and dining venues several times. And overall, the food is outstanding, to include the Marble and Company, the steakhouse Tracey was talking about. However, I will tell you that it probably still ranks number 4 of the 4 dinner venues, although we absolutely enjoyed dining at all the venues, except for Anthology, which is the only non-complimentary dining venue on the ship, which we actually just didn't try.
Now, on Explora, all guests are allowed to dine in the 2. They're not specialty restaurants, but they're the ones that require that you are limited to, and that is Sakura, which is your Asian fusion, and Marble and Company, which is your steakhouse. Now, you do on a transatlantic cruise, because it was 16 days, we did get to try both of them 2 times each. Although they are complimentary, they are smaller, so again, these were things that you were limited by, but the ones that didn't require reservations were the French-inspired restaurant Ville Rouge, which I really love, and the Med Yacht Club, which is, of course, Mediterranean food. But the most surprising thing of all, we've already kind of alluded to this, is the buffet. The Marketplace Emporium, whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner, had some of the best food that we've had on any cruise. I mean, every night they had fresh seafood. We're talking oysters on the half shell, ceviche, sushi every night, lobster tails available every night.
And the ceviche was made to order, and some of the best we've ever had. On this cruise, we ate a lot of our meals right there in the Emporium Marketplace, which I believe was the best buffet that you have at sea. Now, moving on to entertainment, we thought it had really improved a great deal since our last Explora cruise. Now, you're not going to get those big Broadway production shows on Explora, but where Explora really knocked it out was the special entertainers they brought on, such as Nathan James, who just sang a lot of really great 80s music with just really great voice. And then there is the enrichment talks that we had from Leo Rossi. Leo Rossi was actually the tour director for Fleetwood Mac that started off as just they're starting off and really rode with them all the way through the height of their fame. Some of the stories that he told were absolutely amazing.
So we also took the opportunity on this cruise to participate in 2 culinary expenses with our favorite chef on board, Salvatore. We had taken a class from him before, and we really loved it. Now, the cooking experiences did cost extra, but we thought for the day that we were at sea, it was a fantastic way to spend the morning and then have lunch prepared that you made yourself.
And the entertainment continues off the ship and your excursions. We did several of the excursions with the ship, and they actually were pretty good. And of course, we went to trivia every day. We made a lot of good friends, to include some friends that we actually just completed another Transatlantic on the Oceana Allura. Just great people.
So those are our thoughts regarding the various categories of our cruise on Explora, which now brings us to those 3 things that we wish Explora would have done a little bit better, and those things that we really loved.
And we'll look at those 3 downs first, starting with our first down, which is the lack of shoreside communication prior to sailing, especially as it relates to booking excursions and using your onboard credit. Now, fortunately, we had a good deal of onboard credit, so when we went to the website to book our excursions, what we noticed was we couldn't actually use our onboard credit. Instead, it kept on trying to bill our credit card. So we said, fine, no problem. What we'll do is we'll book our excursions once we get onto the board. However, once we were on board, we were informed that since we had not booked our excursions before boarding, our $750 onboard credit was no longer valid. So we felt like we were actually caught in between there. Now, fortunately, with the help of guest services, they were very polite and attentive. They actually had to go back to the corporate offices, and they were able to book on board using our onboard credit. While we were happy with the outcome, we really think the Explorer could do a better job of explaining this in any communication with guests prior to sailing.
Now, our second down was, although the food was outstanding on this cruise, that the dining options were incredibly limited, especially after you got after 9 p.m. All of the venues, including Marketplace Emporium, seemed to shut down by 9 o'clock. Now, room service was complimentary 24 hours a day, but if you wanted a late night snack while you were out and about enjoying this beautiful ship, there weren't any options besides the room service.
And before you put it in the comments, yeah, we know we're being picky, but quite frankly, because we do always 3 ups and 3 downs in every every review. I will tell you, trying to come up with 3 downs on Explora Journeys is really pretty hard. But our third down, and you're going to see how this is, third down was we were actually surprised that they didn't offer complimentary luggage tags. Yeah, like I said, picky. The reason why is because now we did get the paper luggage tags we stapled to our onto our luggage handle, but again, this is a minor quibble, but when you do that, it really doesn't convey that luxury brand that we see everywhere else on the ship.
But what was not difficult for us to find were our 3 ups. And perhaps the hardest thing was limiting ourselves to only 3 things that we loved about this cruise. And again, we keep raving about it. But the first up has to be the food. In that year, we had already sailed 8 cruises before coming on Explora, including a prior sailing on Explora. I think it was in January of last year. And what we found was the food this time was outstanding. It was outstanding pretty much everywhere we went. We tried all the complimentary dining options on board, and we loved all of them, especially the buffet, which again is so surprising to us, the Marketplace Emporium. We loved it.
Now, our second up was the onboard enrichment and entertainment. We really enjoyed Leo Rossi, who is our enrichment speakers, and Nathan James, who was our special singer. We joined other 2 couples for trivia, and with our cruise director, Adam, that was always great. We didn't do as well as we usually do, but we still had a great time. Now, I think that the opportunities we enjoyed most, though, was actually the culinary program and making that really delicious French food with Salvatore.
And we think our last up is the value you get when you're sailing with Explora. Now, it is a little bit more expensive than, going on a mass market line, but everything is pretty much included in your fare. The Explora fare includes complimentary and robust beverage package, free internet, self-service laundry, free access to thermal spas, and all of your dining with the exception of Anthology.
Yeah, now we really enjoyed sailing on Explora 1, primarily because of the itinerary. We loved being on a small ship experience, especially on a Transatlantic, which we absolutely love. The food and service and the entertainment were outstanding. In fact, service across this ship was outstanding. This cruise was so good, we actually booked 2 more cruises on Explora that we'll be showing you in the next 2 years. Now, watch this video to see how this cruise on Explora 1 fared with another small luxury ship. And until the next horizon, keep on traveling.